Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Samsaradava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Prapta Sakaljana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Prapta Sakaljana Gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Charanara Vrindam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Sena Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringaratanama Jukta Sabhaktam Sa Niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasado Satvana Truptam Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Kridvaiva trupte bhajato sadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Shiradikama Gavayara Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shiradika Pratikshana Sadhana Lalu Pasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Ne kunja yuno ratikeli siddhai jajali vir jukti apekshaneya ne kunja yuno ratikeli siddhai jajali vir tatrati daksha ativalabhasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam साक्षात् धरिदैन समस्त शास्त्रैर् रुक्तास्तथाव व्यतैव साधवे सख्याधरि किन्तु प्रभोज प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरुश्री चरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत् प्रसादम् यस्य प्रसादं न गति कुतपि यस्य दयां स्तुवं तस्य यस्य त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरुश्री चरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरुश्री चरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरुश्री चरणरविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्तादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, oh, Hare Krishna, oh, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, oh, Hare Rama, oh, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hariyaraye Nama, Krishna Jadavaye Nama, Hariyaraye. Jadavaye Madhavaya Kesavaye Namah. Gopal Govindaram Shrimadu Sudam Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghuna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghuna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Jai Vishwapar Paramahansa Prabhupada Acharya Sutara Sarasi Shimar His Divine Grace Abhocharvina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Pratishta Bhavid Samstapakachar Vaishnava Siramani Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patiti Udhar Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhattara Gunata Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Gunasat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Hari Rasta Kuriji Ki Jai Ananta Kuri Vaishnava Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय परम दयाल से नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय जय प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जनाक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिनंदन श्रीमन गौरंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि महावृंदावतार की जय गोलोकेर प्रमधान हरि नाम संकीर्तन जगह की जय जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय बृहद मृदंग ट्रांसलेटर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपना राधा कुंज सम कुंज गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय श्री ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय तेलोश्री श्री राधा नील माधव की जय श्री श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय परम करुण श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री पुरुषोत्तम चित्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु स्मस्पतरा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय बाकी सर्व विघ्न विनाशन करण सिंहदेव भगवान की जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय जगंगा माय जमुना माय की जय तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय श्री मथुरा धारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौरी प्रेमानंदे हरिबो all glories to the assembly bodies all glories to the assembly bodies all glories to the assembly bodies all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Haribo.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadahine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरेणकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गाम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गाम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरेणकाम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी। जे तो मारा शरण लो तारा वंचा पूर्ण हो। कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन वासी। मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास। नयने हरिबो सदा जुगल रूपरासी। ए निवेदना धारो साखीर अनुगाता कोरो। सेवा अधिकारा दिए कोरो निज दासी। दीना कृष्ण दासे कोए जीना मोरा होए। श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी। श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदा जीना भासी। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणाशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्माहत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम राम। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी। जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी जय वृंदा देवी। नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदा देवी की जय।
Sada Hari Adhanam Adhanam Sundari Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamai Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavata Bhaktir Hai Tuki Tvai Vai Nandatanu Kinkaram Varinamam Visame Bhavam Vaya Tava Pada Pankajas Tatuli Sadrisam Vichindra Nayanam Gagadashu Vadanam Gagadadaya Lakai Chitam Apu Kadam Ramanam Akahane Vavista Jugaitam Nimesena Sarvisa Pravasaitam Sunaitam Jagati Sarvam Govindaviraye Name Asti Subhapadaratam Pinastuma Adarshana Marmahatam Karotu Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki Jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtan. Krishna is the heart of the just had here for years, and established the private Krishna life of the Vedic birth. This Sankirtan moment that come and actually what you want to establish. Because we suppress the great benediction. It is the life of all 2021. It increases the ocean of changes to this, and enables us to just the nature of all this anxious. Oh my Lord, the holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have millions of names that Krishna and Govinda. Indeed, you can send the names of all your transcendental enemies. Because you find that Lord to shame these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach by your holy name. Come to our fortunate and no attraction to it. When you change the name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and broken spirit, one should be more firm than a tree. Before the Lord stands the false prestige, and should be ready to offer respect to others. In such state of mind, we might be changed the name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. Only one your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet some or other I'm following this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the items at your lotus feet. Oh my Lord, open my eyes and be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I change the holy name. Will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end of the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, like the Lord vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and you should remain. So, even if someone does me roughly as an embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything. It's always my worship for Lord unconditioned. Sri 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 Krishna Kankija. Avaranaya Vishnu Prema Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Guru Krishna. There are 10 offenses in matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that must be avoided. They are as follows. 1. Blaspheme bodies who dedicate to life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literatures in pursuance of Vedic creation. 5. Consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imaginations. 6. To give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are often graded as fruitive activity karma. 9. To instruct the faithless person upon the glories of the holy name. And 10. To have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to condemn material doctrines, ignorant from understanding so many instructions of this matter. It's
It's
also
also the best
unexpected
being
and
attentive
sensible
while
chanting.
chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava is carefully guarding against his tendencies in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema.
Now let us offer our humble obeisance for the Vaishnavas and devotees below. They actually desire trees, they can fulfill the desires of everyone, and therefore the compassion of fallen conditioned souls. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatam vayaditaratachyate swavidyaswara. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavayim Yantijasuraya. Tejo Varimidhan Jata Vinamayo Jatati Sarvamnasya. Lamnasvinasada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Paramdima.
O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva,
O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of
O
Rama,
all-pervading personality of Godhead,
O all-pervading personality,
I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
of my respected blessings.
I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute
I
truth
meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna
and the primeval cause of all
and the
causes,
primary cause of all kinds,
of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of
and the
manifested
creation,
universes.
sustenance, and destruction of manifested.
He is directly and indirectly conscious of all
He is directly
manifestations,
and directly conscious of all manifestations.
and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond
And
him.
he is independent because there is no other cause
It is
beyond
he
him.
only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart
It
of
is
Ramaji,
only who first imparted Vedic knowledge unto the heart.
the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion,
By him, even the great sages and demigods are
as one is bewildered by the illusory representations
by the illusory representation
of water seen on fire or land seen
of
on
water
water.
seen to fire, of land seen to water.
Only because of him do the material universes,
Only because of him do the material
temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of
temporarily
nature,
manifested by the reaction of the three modes
appear factual although they are unreal.
appear factual, although they are
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna,
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri
who is eternally existent in transcendental abode,
which is eternally existent in the
which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material
which
world.
is forever free from the illusory representation.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute
Dharma
truth.
pujita kaitravulcha,
Dharma Pujita Kaitavutta
paramo nirmatsaranam
Paramo
satam,
Nivasanam Satam.
vedyam vastavam atra vastu,
Vedyam Vastavam Astavam
shivadam tapatrayam,
Shivadam Tapu Trivilam
Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite,
Bhagavate Maha
Kim va Ishwaraha, Sadyo Hridi Avarudyate Tra, Kriti Bihi Sususabhistakshana. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are material.
This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth,
This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest
which
truth,
is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
which is understandable by those who are fully pure in
The
heart.
highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
The highest truth, the reality distinguishes from illusion for the welfare of all.
Such truth uproots the threefold mystery.
Such a truth uproots the threefold.
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled with this
is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other
What is
scripture?
the need of the other scripture?
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam,
As soon as one attentive and submissive hears the message of Bhagavatam,
by this culture of knowledge,
by his culture of
the
knowledge,
Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
the Supreme Lord is established.
Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam,
Nigama kalpataror galitam
sukhamukad amrita dravya samyatam,
Amrita
pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam,
Pibata
muhur
Bhagavatam
ahoraska bhuvibhavakaha.
Muhura Hura Sukha
O expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad
O
Bhagavatam,
accidental men relish Srimad
the
Bhagavatam.
mature fruit of the desire to read Vedic
The
literature.
mature fruit, the desired truth,
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva
is
Goswami.
emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more
Although its
tasteful.
nectarian juice was already relishable
Although
for
its
all,
nectarian juice was all relishable for all,
including liberated souls. Shinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantak Stohi Bhadrani, Vidunoti Srihitsatam. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures, or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, is a self-righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best-wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. Nastapresu Bhadresu
Nastapresha
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Bhagavati Uttama
Bhaktir
Sloke
Bhavati Naistaki.
Bhakti Bhagavati Nastaki.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental
In this
knowledge.
way, the devotee naturally develops dormant transcendental
As he hears more about Krishna from the
As
Bhagavatam
he hears more about Krishna from the
and
Bhagavad
from the
Gita
devotees,
and from
he
the
becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
fixed in devotional service.
Tadarajastamo bhava
Tarajastamo Bhava
kamalobhadayascha
Kamalobhadaya
cheta itaranabhidam
Itaiterana
stifam sattve prasidate. By development of devotional service,
By development of
one becomes freed from the modes of passion and
one
ignorance,
becomes free from the melt of passion
and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
material lust and avarice are
Evam
diminished.
prasana manaso
Evam prasanamana
bhagavat bhakti yogataha
bhakti yoga
bhagavat tattva vijnanam
Bhagavat tattva
mukta
vijnana,
sangasya jayate.
mukta sangha
When
sajjana.
these impurities are wiped away,
When these impurities
the
are
candidate
wiped away,
remains steady in his position of pure
candidate
goodness,
remains steady in position of pure
becomes enlivened by devotional
goodness,
service,
becomes enlivened by devotion,
and understands the science of God perfectly.
and understands the sense of God perfectly.
Vidyate hridaya grantis,
Vidyate hridaya grantis,
chidyante sarvasamsaya,
chidyante sarvasam,
shiyante jasya karmani,
chidyante chasya karmani,
drista evat manishwari.
drishta evad manishwari.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection
Thus the Bhakti Yoga serves the heart of
and
material
enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables one to come to once to the stage of some shadow,
understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth Personality of Godhead.
understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of God.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna from his
can
word,
one
Krishna
understand the science of Krishna.
can one understand the science of
Shri Guru Vastika prayers ki jai. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it.
the spirit master receiving blessing from the ocean of mercy, just as a cloud pours water on the forest fire to extinguish it.
So the spiritual master delivers the materially afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence.
So the spiritual master delivers the material afflicted world by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities.
Offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is an ocean of auspicious qualities.
Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing and playing musical instruments.
Chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing music, and
The spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
spiritual master also gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya,
because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind.
because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion.
Sometimes his hair stands on end.
Sometimes the hair stand on
He
top,
feels quivering in his body,
feels quivering,
and tears flow from his eyes like
and tears
waves.
fall from his eyes like waves.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
Offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord of such a spiritual.
The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Sri Sri Radha and
Spiritual
Krishna.
master is also engaged in temple worship of Shri Radha.
He also engages his disciples in such worship.
He also engages his disciples in such.
They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments,
They dress the deities in beautiful clothes,
clean their temple,
clean their
and perform other similar worship of the
temple,
Lord.
perform other similar worship.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord of such.
The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious
The
food.
master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food.
Analyzes that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked.
Analyze that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and
When the
sucked.
spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavat Prasada,
When the spiritual master sees that the bodies are satisfied by eating Bhagavad,
he is satisfied.
he is
I
satisfied.
offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord of such a
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastimes of Radhika and Madhava.
The spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about unlimited conjugal love pastime Radhika Madhava
And his qualities, names, and
and the
forms.
qualities, names, and forms.
The spiritual master aspires to relish these at every moment.
The spiritual master aspires to relish these at
I
their
offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my respectful obeisance to Lord of such.
The spiritual master is very dear because he is expert at assisting the gopis who at different times make different tasteful arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan.
The spiritual master is very dear because he's expert at assisting the devotees in different time, like different tasteful arrangement for the perfection of Radha and Krishna, conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan.
I offer my most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master.
I offer my humble obeisance unto Lord of such a spiritual master.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord.
The spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he's the most confidential servitor of the Lord.
This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all
This
authorities.
is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities.
Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master as a bona fide representative of Shri Hare Krishna.
Therefore, I offer my humble obeisance unto Lord of such a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Shri Hare Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna.
By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction.
Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement.
Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advance.
Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master.
Therefore, I should always remember to praise the spiritual
At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master.
At least 3 times a day, I should offer my respectful obeisance to the lotus feet of my spiritual master.
Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Radhe Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam
Chintamani Prakata Satma Sukalpa Vriksha
Damani Prakada Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha
Lakshavrite Susurabhira Vipaliyantam
Lakshya Vitesi Suradhira Vipalayam
Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevyamanam
Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevi
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Venam Kvanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham
Venum Kvanantam Aravinda
Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam
Aramvatas Samasitam Sundaram
Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Sobam
Bandar Prakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Alola Chandra Kabasadvanamalya Vamsi
Alola Chanda Kalasarva Namalya
Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam
Ranam Gadam Pralayati Kalavilam
Shyamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasam
Shaman Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Anganiyasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti
Angani Yasa Sakalendriya Vrittim
Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti
Pasyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya
Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigraha
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam
Advitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam
Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha
Adyam Purana Purusham Navajogana
Vede Sudurlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto
Vedeshi Durlabham Adurlabham Atma
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham
Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragamyo
Pantastu Koti Satavatsara Sampragam
Vayoratapi Manaso Muni Pungamanam
Vayoratapi
Supyasti Yat
Manaso
Prapadasam
Muni
Supyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tattve
Vyasi Yapadasinya Vichincha
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Suracha Ekopya Sora Chaitam Jagadanda Kotim
Ekvapya Sura Chayitum Jagadanta Kuti
Yas Chaktirasti Jagadanda Chaya Yadanta
Chakti Jagadanta Chayayadanta
Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam
Andantarasta Paramanu Chayayadanta
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasta Taiva
Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manujasta
Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusaha
Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusha
Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti
Sukte Yameva Nigama Prasitestu
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Patibhavitabis
Ananda Chinmaya Asapatita
Dabirya Eva Nijarupa Dayakalabi
Dabiya Eva Nijarupa Tayaka
Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhuto
Goloka Eva Nisati
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena
Premanjana Churita Bhakti
Sadeva
Vilochane
Santak Sadeva Hidayesu Vilokayanti
Santa Sadeva Vindeshu Vilokayam
Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam
Yam Syama Sundaram Achintya Vinod
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adi Purusham
Ramadi Murti Sukalani Yamena Tistan
Ramadi Murti Shukalani Yamena Tishna
Nanavatara Makarod Bhavanesa Kintu
Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu
Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramaha Pumamyo
Krishna Swayam Sambhavavat Paramam Pumamni
Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam
Paramaha
Adi Purusham
Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagaranda Koti Koti Svasesu Vasudadi Vibhuti Vinam Tad Brahma Niskalam Anantam Ashesa Bhutam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Hiyasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Trigun Yatad Vishaya Veda Vitayamanam Satvam Pralambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu Ya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Golokanamni Nijadamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesa Haridama Sute Sutesu Tete Prabhavani Jaya Tete Prabhavani Jaya Vitaschayena Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shristi Stati Pralaya Sadhava Sakti Reka Jayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Chanarupapyasya Ichanarupa Apyasya Chachestatesa Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Vishesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetoho Yasambutam Apitata Sampupaiti Karya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Deeparchadeva Hitasantaram Abhyupetya Deepayate Vivita Hetu Samana Dharma Yastadrikeva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saroma Kupaha Adhara Shaktim Avalambya Param Swamurtim Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyaika Nisvasitakala Matavalamya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Nataha Vishnur Mahansa Yasya Kala Vishesho Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasma Basman Yastasma Sakalesu Nijesu Teja Swiyam Kiyat Prakadiyat Apitadvadatra Ramaya Esa Jagadanda Vidana Karta Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Vande Pranama Samaya Vande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Rajaha Samayesa Vignan Vihantam Alamasya Jagatrayasya Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Agnir Mahiga Ganamambu Marudisascha Kalas Tatatma Manasitti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Yamcha Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Savita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesa Tejaha Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kala Chakro Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo to Papa Nichaya Sutayasta Pamsi Brahma Dikita Patagava Deyascha Jivaha Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govinda Madi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Matavendra Mahoswakarma
Lokam Atavendra Ahosakara
Bandhana Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti
Bandarupa Palabhajanam Anatum
Karmani Nidhati Kintucha Bhakti Bhajam
Karmani Dati Kintu Bhakti Bhajan
Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajan
Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpataravo. Give these up. Druma Bhumis Chintamani Ganamayi Toyam Amritam Kata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Apivam Sipriya Saki
Kata Ganam Nayatam Gananam Apivam Sipriya Saki
Chid Alantam Jyoti Param Apitad Aswadyam Apicha
Chiranandam Jati Param Api Tadapswadam
Sayatra Shiradipi Shravati Shirabhibhyascha Sumahan Nime Sardakyova Rajatina Hiyatrapi Samaya Vaje Svita Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golakamitiyam
Vajishvita Vipam Tamaham Iya Guru
Vedantaste Santakshiri Siti Viralachara Katipaye
Vedanta Santikiti Prachara Katipaye
Shri Upanishad Ki Jai Ishwara Parama Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate
Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate
Ishavaishamidam Sarvam Jatkinja Jagatyam Jagatina Plaktina Bunjitaha Mahagridaha Krishasvidanam
Ishashamidam Sarvam Yakinchi Jagatayam Jagat Tena Chaktena Punjitama Vidra Kasya Svidhan
Kurvan Evaha Karmani Jajiva Chekchatam Samaha Evam Tvayi Nanyatetu Sina Karma Lipite Nare
Kurvan Evaya Karmani Jita Chatam Sama Evam Chayi Mani Jitus Kamar Diyate
Asurya Namate Loka Andina Tamasavritaha Tamste Pritya Bhikachanti Eki Chatmahano Janaha
Asura Namati Loka Adena Tamasavita Damte Priyati Chikanti Chaskanto Hanu
Anijadi Kamanaso Javio Naina Devam Apavam Pavam Asata Davato Nyana Teti Sista Tasmina Pumata Visvadadati
Yate Kamanaso Jupito Nema Eva Anuvam Puvam Asa Tadravatonyam
Tadejati Tanejati Tadure Tadvantike Tadantarasya Sarvasya Tadusarvasya Syabhayataha
Tadi Jati Tam Nejati Tadvire Didi Antike Tarantarasya Savasya Tarino Savasya Bhav
Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Vanupasyati Sarvabhute Sachatmanam Tatona Vijigupsate
Yatu Sarvane Bhutani Atmane Evanupasyati Sarvabhuteshu Chatanmanam Tato Na
Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmeva Bhutvijanataha Tatraku Mahakaha Sukha Ekatvamanupashyataha
Yasmin Sarvane Bhutani Atma Vanubhute Vigyata Tatro Namukhyasta Shoka Ekavam
Sa
Anupasata
Prayagachukamakaya Mavrinam Asnaviram Sudam Apapavidam Yata Kavir Manasi Paribu Swayambhu Yatatat Yato Vyadadas Chasvatipyaha Samabhyaha
Saparagachukam
Kayam
Akayam
Avranam Asnaviram Sudam Apapavidam Kavir Manasi Paribu Swayambhu Yatatat Yato Rutan Chasvatipyaha Samabhyaha Andam Tamaha Pravisanti Ye Vidyam Upasate Tato Bhuyavate Tamo Yayu Vidyayam Rataha Anyadivhur Vidyaya Anyad Ahura Vidyaya Iti Susrumadiranam Yenastad Vichachakshire
Anyali Bahur Vidya Nyar Ahur Avidya Iti Asuma Dinaram Yenatas Tabichak
Vidyam Chayas Tadvedo Vidyam Chayas Tadvedo Bayam Saha Vidyaya Militum Titva Vidyayam Ritamasnute
Vidyam Chaya Stad Ido Bayam Saha Avidayam Rityam Tirva Vidyam Ritam
Andam Tamaha Pravisanti Yesam Bhutim Upasate Tato Bhuyavate Tamo Yayu Vidyayam Yayu Sambutam Rataha
Andam Tama Pravishanti Ye Sambutim Upasate
Anyadevahur sambhavad, anyadahur sambhavad, iti susrumadhiranam yenastad vichachakshire.
Anyadibahu sambhavat, anyadahu asambhavat, iti astunam tiranam yenastat vichachakshire.
Sambitim cha vinasam cha yastad vidobhayam saha, vinasena miritim trutvad, sambutam ritamasnute.
Sambutim cha vinasanam cha natar vidogayam saha, vinashena mrityum tirtva, sambutam pritam asmite.
Hiranmayena patrena satyasya vihitam mukam tatpampusam apavrinu satyadharmaya dristaye.
Hiranmayena patrina satyasya pititam mukam, yutam purusham apunne satya dharmaya.
Usanika seyamasriya prajapatya vyuharasmin samahatejo yate rupam kayanatamam tatev pasyami yosavaso purushaha sohamasmi.
Pusam ekarshe yama surya prajapataya, guyo ashraman samuyatejo, yate rupam kalyanatamam, yate pasyanti yosam anus.
Vayuranilamamritam atedam basmantam saridam om kratusmara kritam smara kratusmara kritam smara.
Vayuranilam amritam adedam ambasmasnaram shariram, om kratosmaram kritam smara kratosmara
Agni
kritam
naya
smara.
supatare svan vishwani deva vayunani vidvan yo dashmas chuhurana mayo buyistam te nama uktim vedama om tasat.
Agneya supatana raye asman, vishadideva vayumani vidan, yo rudya asman ajudan nam eno, buyistam tena uktim videma.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped in as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Shisha Upanishad Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Verse number 34. Nabharati me nigamri shupalakshyate. Navai kvachin me manasor mishagati. Na me hitshikani patantya satpate. Yan me hridot kantyavata drito hari. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, with great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. So this is a statement by Lord Brahma to Narada Muni, his disciple. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma is the original speaker of Vedic wisdom to Narada, and Narada is the distributor of transcendental knowledge all over the world through his various disciples, like Vyasadeva and others. The followers of Vedic wisdom accept the statements of Brahmaji as gospel truth, and transcendental knowledge is thus being distributed all over the world by the process of disciplic succession from time immemorial, since the beginning of the creation. Lord Brahma is the perfect, liberated, living being within the material world, and any sincere student of transcendental knowledge must accept the words and statements of Brahmaji as infallible. Infallible means never false, always true, never fails. The Vedic knowledge is infallible because it comes down directly from the Supreme Lord unto the heart of Brahma. And since he is the most perfect living being, Brahmaji is always correct to the letter. And this is because Lord Brahma is a great devotee of the Lord who has earnestly accepted the lotus feet of the Lord as the supreme truth. In the Brahma Samhita, which is compiled by Brahmaji, he repeats the aphorism, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I am a worshipper of the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, the primeval Lord. So whatever he says, whatever he thinks, and whatever he does normally in his mood are to be accepted as truth because of his direct and very intimate connection with Govinda, the primeval Lord. Shri Govinda, who pleasingly accepts the loving transcendental service of his devotees, gives all protection to the words and actions of his devotees. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kunteya Pratijani, O son of Kunti, please declare it. The Lord asks Arjuna to declare, and why? Because sometimes the declaration of Govinda himself may seem contradictory to mundane creatures, but the mundaner will never find any contradiction in the words of the Lord's devotees. The devotees are especially protected by the Lord so that they may remain infallible. Therefore, the process of devotional service always begins in the service of the devotee who appears in disciplic succession. The devotees are always liberated, but that does not mean that they are impersonal. The Lord is a person eternally, and the devotee of the Lord is also a person eternally. Because the devotee has his sense organs even at the liberated stage, he is therefore a person always. And because the devotee's service is accepted by the Lord in full reciprocation, the Lord is also a person in his complete spiritual embodiment. The devotee's senses, being engaged in the service of the Lord, never go astray under the attraction of false material enjoyment. The plans of the devotee never go in vain, and all this is due to the faithful attachment of the devotee for the service of the Lord. This is the standard of perfection and liberation. Anyone, beginning from Brahmaji down to the human being, is at once put on the path of liberation simply by his attachment and great eagerness for the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the primeval Lord. The Lord affirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam chayo vibhicharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatityaitam brahmabhuyaya kalpate. Anyone, therefore, who is earnestly serious in heart and soul about being in intimate touch with the personality of Godhead in the relationship of transcendental loving service will always be infallible in words and action. The reason is that the Supreme Lord is absolute truth, and anything earnestly dovetailed with the absolute truth attains the same transcendental quality. On the other hand, any amount of mental speculation on the strength of material science and knowledge without any bona fide touch with the absolute truth is sure to be a mundane untruth and failure, simply due to not being in touch with the absolute truth. Such godless, unfaithful words and actions, however materially enriched, are never to be trusted. That is the purport of this important verse. A grain of devotion is more valuable than tons of faithlessness. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, with great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. Well, this is a very strong statement by Lord Brahma, and it's completely backed up by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada has waxed very eloquent in his explanation of this verse. It's a long purport. And one of the main points he makes is that the plans of a devotee never go in vain, and this is due to the faithful attachment of the devotee for the service of the Lord. So that should be our motto in life. We should always be faithfully attached to the service of the Lord and striving always to develop a very personal relationship with Krishna by using our senses, mind, and intelligence in the service of the Lord. So that's who a real person is. A real person is a person who uses all the facilities they have, such as the body, especially the senses and the organs of the body, and everything they encounter in life, money, land, cows, seeds, grains, vegetables, machines, anything should be dovetailed into the service of the Lord. And that is a special quality of the devotee. This probably explains this in the second chapter, 63rd verse, where he says, second chapter, 63rd verse. Yeah. Yeah. Krodahad bhavati samahad smriti vibrama, smriti bram sat buddhina sat pranashyati. And in the verse he says, by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects. And as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. This so-called renunciation is called falgu, or less important. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. Well, there you go. Because the devotee knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. As soon as we use things selfishly for our own sense gratification, we come under the control of Maya. And we get entangled. And it's hard to get out of that entanglement. And then we say, well, I don't have any time to chant my rounds. And these rules and regulations, they're just too hard to follow. And it's not modern. And this is modern life nowadays. You know, people don't follow these things anymore. That was old. We have to go with the new. They talk nonsense like that. Right? But that's not the fact. The fact is that old is gold. And new is plastic. So you take the plastic, I take the gold. Right? Yeah, so there was once a farmer and a farm hand, or someone who was helping him, but who wanted to be like the farmer. So the man who wanted to be like the farmer said, look, why don't you let me grow something on this land? I'll be a sharecropper, and I'll grow it, and then I'll give you some of it, and you give me some. So the farmer said, okay, there's one field I'm not really taking care of. You can grow on that, but let me choose what you grow. So the man said, okay. So what should we grow? He said, well, let's grow some turnips. He said, okay. He said, and I'll give you everything above ground, and I'll take everything below ground. He said, okay. So the guy planted some turnip seeds, and they grew up, and then so it came time for the harvest. So the man said, well, I'm going to harvest the turnips. And the farmer says, remember what we agreed. He said, what was that again? He said, so you take everything above ground, I'll take everything below the ground. He said, oh, yeah, I remember that. So then the farmer got the turnips, and the man got the greens, which he didn't know what to do with, right? Because he sold the turnip, right? So he hardly made any money at all, and he worked really hard. So the next year, he said, well, I want to do some sharecropping with you again, in that field. The farmer said, okay, but I'll choose what you grow. He said, okay. So he said, But this time, I'll take everything on top, and you take everything on bottom. And the farmer said, oh, yeah, okay, because last time, he got cheated. So they planted some wheat, and then when it came to harvest, the farmer said, so remember what we said, I take everything on top, you take everything on the bottom. I said, yeah, sure, no problem, So the farmer got all the wheat, and the guy, the sharecropper, he got the roots of the wheat, which are nothing, right? So twice he was cheated by the farmer, you see. So, therefore, we have to understand that if we're not Krishna conscious, we're always going to be cheated in life, because we're a cheater. We reject to follow Krishna consciousness, which is guaranteed success. But when we reject Krishna and Krishna consciousness, which means, devotional service, we're cheating ourselves. And we end up with nothing, really, nothing substantial. So the principle of success is to learn how to use everything properly in the service of Krishna. And the key thing is the service of Krishna. So when a devotee acts like that, and when you don't know how to use something, you ask a spiritual authority, because Prabhupada said in his purport, second chapter, 63rd verse, a real devotee knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. So, also in the 8th chapter, 14th verse, it says, Ananya Chaita Satatam Yo Mam Smarati Nitya Saha Tashyaham Srulabha Partha Nitya Yukta Yogina. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Well, now we see what is fundamental in life. Most people say service. The president is serving the people of the country. And the people are serving somebody. They serve their dog, or they serve their wife, or they serve their husband, or their kids, or the team leader in the business, or the owner of the business. Everyone is serving someone, right? But when we choose to serve Krishna, that's when transcendental life begins. Otherwise, our position is to serve. And our position is always to be subordinate to someone else. It's just the facts of life. So choosing who you want to really serve, and when that person is Krishna, then you become transcendental in everything you do. And then Krishna protects you. And he gives you knowledge by which you can always remain on the path staunchly. And he guarantees your success. What is success? Liberation from the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And going back to Godhead because of one's intimate relationship of love and devotion for Krishna. That's success. That's the ultimate success of life. Of course, people don't know what success is. They take all these tangential goals as success, but they have nothing to do with success. They all lead to failure. Old age, disease, and death, and then rebirth again. But this Krishna consciousness is transcendental. So Prabhupada says in this verse especially describes the final destination attained by the unalloyed devotees who serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhakti Yoga. Previous verses have mentioned 4 different kinds of devotees: the distressed, the inquisitive, those who seek material gain, and the speculative philosophers. Different processes of liberation have also been described: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga. This verse meaning 8th chapter, 14th verse. The principles of these yoga systems have some bhakti added, but this verse particularly mentions pure bhakti yoga without any mixture of jnana, karma or hatha. As indicated by the word ananyacheta, in pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. So, this is the main point. Everything depends on our desires. If we desire the wrong thing, Krishna will let us have that because we have limited free will. So he won't obstruct you. He won't say, no, don't do that. That's not good for you. No. He already explained what's good for you and not good for you, right? But if we choose to be attracted to something that's not good for us, and we're insisting on it, well, Krishna said, okay, that's what you want. That's what you get. So we have to be very careful what our desires are. Now, most people don't understand this. Therefore, they're always restless because they don't have a final goal for life. So therefore, they're always going here and going there, and then going somewhere else, and then somewhere else, and always not being satisfied, and therefore they waste their life going here and going there. The devotee, however, can stay in one place, and what is the actual, let's say, amazing quality of a genuine devotee? Wherever they are, they can turn that place into Vaikuntha. Wherever they are. They can be in hell, and they can turn that place into the spiritual world. That's the quality of a devotee. Therefore, the devotee doesn't have to go here, and then go there, and then go somewhere else, and then go somewhere else. The mind of the devotee is not agitated in that way. They know how to, they can stay in one place and turn that place into the spiritual world. That's the special quality of the devotee. And then Prabhupada says, as indicated by the word ananyacheta, in pure bhakti yoga, the devotee desires nothing but Krishna. A pure devotee does not desire promotion to heavenly planets, nor does he seek oneness with the Brahma Jyoti or salvation or liberation from material entanglement. A pure devotee does not desire anything, meaning nothing material. It doesn't mean the devotee is without desires. He doesn't have any material desires, but he desires Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pure devotee is called Niskama, which means he has no desire for self-interest. In other words, he has no selfish desires. His desires are always benevolent. He desires Krishna, and he desires all people to become Krishna conscious. So therefore, he'll make all efforts to help others become Krishna conscious. Perfect peace belongs to him alone, not to them who strive for personal gain. Whereas a jnana yogi, karma yogi, or hatha yogi has his own selfish interests. A perfect devotee has no desire other than to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, or to Krishna, Krishna is easy to attain. So unflinching means you don't have any other desire. We don't have any other desire other than to please Guru and Krishna. In other words, Guru will teach us how to please Krishna. Therefore, the Lord says that for anyone who is unflinchingly devoted to him, he is easy to attain. A pure devotee always engages in devotional service to Krishna in one of his various personal forms. Krishna has various plenary expansions and incarnations, such as Rama and the Shringa, and a devotee can choose to fix his mind in loving service to any of these transcendental forms of the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee meets with none of the problems that plague the practitioners of other yogas. Bhakti yoga is very simple and pure and easy to perform. One can begin simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Lord is merciful to all, but as we have already explained, he is especially inclined toward those who always serve him with devotion. I'm sorry, without deviation. The Lord helps such devotees in various ways, as stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 1.2.23. Yam evaisha vrinute tena labhyas tasyaisa atma vrinute tanam swam. One who is fully surrendered and engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord can understand the Supreme Lord as he is. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.10, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, the Lord gives such a devotee sufficient intelligence so that ultimately the devotee can attain him in his spiritual kingdom. In other words, when we turn our attention to devotee, when we stop going here and there and somewhere else and over there again and over here again, when we stop doing that, we decide, I'm going to stay in one place and I'm going to dedicate my whole life to serving Krishna. Right? At that point, Krishna gives you everything you need. Intelligence, assets, whatever is necessary to preach and spread Krishna consciousness. He'll supply everything because he wants to see his devotees succeed in Krishna consciousness, and he'll do whatever is necessary to keep the devotee in Krishna consciousness. So sometimes he might even take away everything from the devotee so that the devotee doesn't get too puffed up by material acquisitions and start using some of those things for sense gratification. Even if we use 1 penny of the money that comes to Krishna consciousness for sense gratification, we will go to hell. 1 penny. 1 penny. Prabhupada says that in the Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers, when he's speaking to Mr. Bob Cohen. He tells him, you misuse 1 penny of Krishna's money. He said, because a lot of money is coming on the goodwill of Krishna consciousness. If the devotee uses 1 penny for sense gratification, he'll go to hell. So we have to be careful. This is like walking on a tightrope. You see these people in the circus. They're balancing on a rope, right, and walking on it. Krishna consciousness is like that. You have to be on the straight and narrow path. But if you do that, then Krishna gives you all requirements to be peaceful and successful in everything you do. So, if you want to be successful, then you'll definitely surrender to Krishna and engage in devotional service. You want to be a failure in life, don't do it. Don't surrender. Don't chant Hare Krishna. Just go along. Go with the flow back to hell. Right? And hell means always an anxiety and worries and always problems, this problem, that problem. And always your mind can't get your mind off of the problems, and it's just one entanglement after another. There's this story of, what is it, Alice in Wonderland. Have you ever seen Alice in Wonderland? Huh? You ever see that? You remember Alice in Wonderland? What happens when she goes into that Wonderland? Huh? Wonderland. When she goes into the Wonderland, what happens? Yeah, she's an illusion, but what happens then? Yeah, but also things start multiplying. And she can't, it gets overwhelming, right? So that's exactly what happens to us. When we have our personal desires, we get entangled. And we're overcome by multiplicity of entanglements. Just like our wonderful president 2 weeks ago, and then last week also, and just even a few days ago, he said, well, the government in Afghanistan has everything they need to offset the Taliban. We left them everything they need. They'll be able to defend themselves. Yeah. A couple days later, Kabul today is seized by the Taliban. The whole country, after 20 years of war and so many American soldiers died and so many Afghanis died, the Afghans have won the war. They beat the United States. And Mr. President, with his nonsense, saying, "Well, they'll be able to defend themselves." Bunch of nonsense. See? So this is what's happening when people have selfish desires. They fail. And if you have pure desires to serve Krishna, even if it looks like you're a failure, you will not be a failure. Krishna always protects his devotees. So we have to decide who we want to serve in life. We're going to serve Bhakta Joe in Washington, is saying all kinds of crazy things, and just the opposite of what he says happens. Or you want to serve Krishna, who never, he says, Konteya pratijani hinami bhakta pranashiti. He said, declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. So whose promise are you going to believe? Bhakta Joe or Krishna? Or the devil or Krishna? Or the nonsense speculator or Krishna? Or the so-called philosophers or Krishna? So who are we going to believe? So I choose Krishna. Prabhupada chose Krishna. Look what happened to Krishna, Prabhupada. Tremendous success. Narada Muni chose Krishna. Look what happened to him. Tremendous success. Look at Brahma. He chose Krishna. Look what happened to him. Tremendous success. Anybody who chooses Krishna will end up in a tremendous success. And people who choose Maya, they always are failures in life. So who should we trust? Who should we choose? Everything is going to depend on our desires. And Krishna knows all our desires because he's the closest person to us. He's in our heart as the Paramatma. So therefore, Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, again, 9th chapter, 32nd and 30th, third, let me see one second. My pages stick together. 30th verse. The 31st verse. Shripam bhavati dharmatma satsvas chantim negachati konteya pratijani hinami bhakta pranashyati. He says, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti, declared boldly that my devotee never perishes. So, this is Krishna's promise. Who are we going to believe? That's the thing. That's what we have to decide. Who is going to be our authority? So, and Prabhupada explains in the purport, this should not be misunderstood. In the 7th chapter, the Lord says that one who is engaged in mischievous activities cannot become a devotee of the Lord. One who is not a devotee of the Lord has no good qualifications whatsoever. The question remains then, how can a person engaged in abominable activities, either by accident or by intention, be a pure devotee? This question may justly be raised. The miscreants, as stated in the 7th chapter, who never come to the devotional service of the Lord have no good qualifications, as is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Generally, a devotee who is engaged in the 9 kinds of devotional activities is engaged in the process of cleansing all material contamination from his heart. He puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. Well, that's what we're doing. We're chanting mantras in the morning. We're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the morning and all through the day. We are reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. We're assisting in the Aarti ceremonies, Tulsi Puja. All these things, they're all connecting us to Krishna. Therefore, it says, he puts the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, and all sinful contaminations are naturally washed away. Continuous thinking of the Supreme Lord makes him pure by nature. According to the Vedas, there is a certain regulation that if one falls down from his exalted position, he has to undergo certain ritualistic processes to purify himself. But here, there's no such condition, because the purifying process is already there in the heart of the devotee due to his remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be continued without stoppage. This will protect the devotee from all accidental fall downs. He will thus remain perpetually free from all material contaminations. Wow. We have to take these verses and these purports very seriously if we want to be successful in life. Now, if you want to be a failure, it's pretty easy. Just ignore all this stuff. You sleep late, go here, go there. You think, oh, well, I think I'll go to Montreal. I heard it's really good in Montreal, Oh, no, I'll go to California. I heard I can get a job in California. Oh, no, I got a girlfriend in Alabama. Let me go to Alabama, It's a bunch of nonsense. Going here, going there, going nowhere. You always stay in the material world, subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. But now we have the formula for success. Go to Krishna. Always be in contact with Krishna. And the easy way is just keep chanting Hare Krishna. And especially live near or live in the temple and be engaged 24 hours a day in Krishna's service. You will be the greatest success. Then also in the let's see, where's my 9:33. Was it 9:33, right? 31. Oh, 31, okay. But there's also another very interesting verse. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:15:33. 1:15:33, where it says, Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the Transcendental Personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence. And the purport, Prabhupada writes, the setting of the sun does not mean the end of the sun. It means that the sun is out of our sight. Similarly, the end of the mission of the Lord on a particular planet or universe only means that he is out of our sight. The end of the Yadu dynasty also does not mean that it is annihilated. It disappears along with the Lord out of our sight. As Maharaj Yudhisthira decided to prepare to go back to Godhead, so also Kunti decided. And thus, she fully engaged herself in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, which guarantees one a passport for going back to Godhead after quitting this present material body. See, that's the point. When we start thinking, let me go here, let me go there, actually it means let me go nowhere. But if you stay in one place and you stick to following Krishna consciousness, just like when I joined, very quickly after I joined, I was made president of the temple. I didn't really know anything about Krishna consciousness, but anyway, they made me the president because they thought I was a good manager. This is way back in France. And somehow or other, I did start the first temple in France. But in my initiation letter, Prabhupada said, well, you are born in, you have an Armenian body, so Armenia is part of the Soviet Union. I want to preach Krishna consciousness Soviet Union, so you should go to the Soviet Union. And also because you're from that area, you can also preach in the Arabic countries, Arabic-speaking countries like Egypt and Syria and other countries like that. He said, but for the moment, just stay where you are. Don't move. and learn Krishna consciousness from your God brothers. So although he told me I can do this, I can do that, but he said, just stay where you are and learn Krishna consciousness. So I stayed there for 18 years in Paris and learned from my God brothers and from Prabhupada something about Krishna consciousness. So the staying in one place and learning and getting more and more attached to Krishna and being completely dependent on Krishna, so then you can do miraculous things that you never knew you were able to do. And that was my experience. Although I didn't know much, but I was able to do amazing things because I had full faith in Prabhupada. And I was determined not to move, to stay where I was and get something done for Prabhupada. He kept telling me, you have to open this temple, you have to open the temple. Why have you not opened the temple? He sent me several letters like that, and then when he said, I'm coming there, there has to be a temple, so I opened the temple. It was a miracle how it happened. So this, and then you stay and maintain the deity worship and Sankirtan and book distribution and festivals, and all of a sudden you're doing things that you never knew you could do before. And it develops, and it's all by Krishna's mercy. You see the hand of Krishna in everything that's happening. So here we see that at one point we have to decide, like Kunti Devi did, like Arjuna did, like Narada Muni did, like Brahma did, to completely surrender to Krishna and have complete faith in the Lord and engage in devotional service. So it says, Kunti decided, and thus she fully engaged herself in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, which guarantees one a passport for going back to Godhead after quitting this present material world. The beginning of devotional service to the Lord is the beginning of spiritualizing the present body, and thus an unalloyed devotee of the Lord loses all material contact in the present body. The abode of the Lord is not a myth, as is thought by the unbelievers or ignorant people. But one cannot reach there by any material means, like a Sputnik or space capsule. But one can certainly reach there after leaving this present body, and one must prepare himself to go back to Godhead by practicing devotional service. That guarantees a passport for going back to Godhead, and Kunti adopted it. So you want a passport to go back to Godhead? You want a passport to go back to Godhead? Yeah. Well, there's the formula. Always engage in devotional service, in the association of devotees. Okay, we'll stop right there. There were a lot more things I had to say, but that's enough. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, okay. Thank you very much.